name is Lizzie. If you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by and checking this video out. And today I just wanted to share with you, I saw some other videos going around where the YouTube people, were deciding if they could only pick one palette from one brand, which palette would they choose. I didn't really watch any of the videos because I wanted to form my own opinions and just pick out the palettes that I prefer and really reach for more often than the other palettes over my collection. And so I just wanted to film a quick video showing you guys if I had to choose only one palette by each brand, what I would choose. And I didn't pick too many brands because I really wanted to use the brands that I have used more and used more than once and really have more palettes in each brand, so there wasn't too many. I didn't want to do like a brand that I only have like 2 palettes out of, or smaller collection, or brands or palettes that I only used once and really don't know if I would choose that overall out of all the palettes. So I chose some that had the brands that I had the most of, pretty much. So let's get started. The first one I'll do is Viseart or Visar. I don't know how you pronounce it. If somebody could tell me the correct pronunciation, I've heard it both ways and I would just really love to know. Is it Viseart or is it Visar? I have no idea. But I have, I think, 5 or 6 of their palettes, a couple of the mini ones, the Petite Pros, the Theory palettes, and a couple of their large 12 pans, I believe. But the one that I picked out of all of them is this one here, the Trist palette, and this is like they're kind of medium sized. It's smaller than the 12 pans and bigger than the Petite Pros and Theories. So this one has 9 shades. And I chose this one. I have the first one that released in this size. I forget what it's called. But I chose this one because I just feel like, one, of course, Viseart has some outstanding formula for eyeshadows. And they're just very, makeup artists, of course, use them. I'm sure you've heard the whole spiel about, their quality and everything. And that's why they have the, higher price tag. And I just really was drawn to this palette here. Let me show you again. It has kind of cooler tones with that like pretty shimmery lavender there and peach, and I just feel like this color concept, I hate this plastic shade thing, the color concept and of course the quality was just my favorite out of all of my Viseart palettes. So that is the one I chose, and once again it's the Trist palette. The next palette I chose from Tarte Cosmetics. This one was a little bit difficult because I feel like I decluttered a lot of my Tarte palettes, so I was kind of trying to rack through my brain what Tarte palettes I ended up keeping and which ones I use and try to reach for. So I actually chose this one here. I think it's the, I don't know, Be a Mermaid or Mermaid palette, I'm not sure, but it was a limited edition palette, and aside from the packaging, which is adorable, what is it called? I don't know, it just says 99% mermaid. I just love these shades, and some of their palettes can be hit or miss with the formula, but this one was just so beautiful. And even though the pans are kind of a little bit oddly shaped and everything, the colors are just gorgeous. Like these shimmery purples and blues down here are just stunning, but then you could create a really nice neutral look with the browns and champagne shades up there. So this was definitely one of my favorite by Tarte. I really do like their new, is it the Pro Remix palette that they just released that has the paint splatters on it? I like that one too. But yeah, this one, I'm just so glad I got it, and I'm holding on to that. For an affordable palette, Colorpop. I don't know how many Colorpop palettes I have. I don't have every single one because, I just can't justify buying every single release that they come out with. That would just be like 4 palettes a month or something. But the one that is my absolute favorite out of all of them is the All I See Is Magic palette. Unfortunately, I don't think this one is available anymore. I believe it was a holiday release a year or 2 ago. Yeah, the All I See Is Magic. I just love these shades. I love the Colorpop formula. It rivals with some of the top name brands, higher end brands. And I don't know, I just love the like burgundy colors. The green right there is gorgeous. It was either between this palette or Kathleen Light's Dream Street palette. That one is a close runner up, but yeah, this one is just stunning. And for a minute I couldn't find it because it wasn't with the other Colourpop palette, so I was like panicking because I was just like, where the heck is that palette? I mean, I haven't reached for it in quite a long time, but there's just so many, you know, Colourpop palettes coming out that it's hard. But this one is by far my favorite, and then the Kathleen Light's Dream Street. This is not an eyeshadow palette, but I figured, you know, it's a face palette. It's a palette that I adore, and it's by NARS. And with NARS, I don't have a favorite eyeshadow palette of theirs. They're just, you know, so-so. Some of them are good. Some of them are really awful. I really like their single shadows. Their quality isn't always negative or bad, but yeah, just with eyeshadow palettes, I couldn't think of a NARS that I specifically loved and reached for. So I chose a face palette of theirs because I love their face palettes. And this one is also limited edition, the Bord de Plage, and it has these stunning highlighters and these two bronzers on the side here. I believe the bronzers, yeah, are Laguna and Casino, so they're very popular shades. And then the 4 highlighters here in, what shades are they? Rivage, Creek, Corniche, and Gallet. I don't know, but their formula is amazing, and I just love how it blends into the skin. One of their favorite single highlighters that I have is the Fort de France, so that one is amazing. But you know, if you have this palette or if you just have that, you really, it's kind of similar to the highlighters, but that, I just had to pick that face palette for NARS. Another high-end brand is Natasha de Nono. I have most of all of her palettes, like the bigger palettes, except for the Sunset. Yeah, the Sunset palette is the one that I did not pick up, or the 28 brown green palette, even though I would love to have that palette, but you know, I'm just not spending $229 on that, or however much it is. And even though this just released and I haven't had it in my collection for a while, I could just tell it's an absolute favorite. The first couple times that I've used it, I'm just so in love with it that I'm so glad she released a palette this size. It's the Sunrise palette, the newest palette that she released, and these colors, you know, are gorgeous and beautiful and really do mimic a sunrise, in my opinion. And I love how it's smaller because I never go through a whole eyeshadow pan or palette anyway, and it's just more cost effective, and the formula is just stunning. You know, I think she had a couple misses with the Tropic palette and the Safari palette. I still like them. I still have them in my collection, but I do find some of the shades difficult to blend out and really you know, create a nice eye look without being patchy. But these shades, you know, I use the mattes, I use the shimmers, and I think the mattes really testify if a formula is really good and if a brand's formula is remarkable. And she really just knocked it out of the park with this one, and it's a step up from those two kind of dud palettes. Oh, I don't have the Biba palette. That's another one I do not have, but yeah, see, it was just so forgettable. I feel like those shades are just so neutral and just already have a million times in my collection. I mean, don't get me wrong, if it was like super on sale, yes, I would buy it, or if somebody gave it to me, of course, yeah, I wouldn't say no to a Natasha de Nono palette, but I didn't want to spend my money on it, and I'm glad I picked this one up because it's just amazing, and I could just tell it's good. It's my favorite out of all of her palettes right now. Another high-end brand is Pat McGrath. I have almost all of her palettes. I sold one of the smaller 6-pan ones that was just released. I think it had all the metallic shades because I just, you know, didn't use it or wasn't interested in it. And I did sell the limited edition Mothership, was it the Mothership 4 palette? The one that has, like, I think the Decadence palette. So it had all the shimmer shades in that. I sold it because, you know, people were just paying crazy prices for that. So I was like, why not? You know, even though I love being a collector and having it, I feel like she will eventually bring it back because so many people loved it or wanted it or missed out on it. And, you know, when it comes back, then maybe I'll repurchase it. But if I could make money off of it, why not? And that wasn't my favorite anyway. So my favorite that I chose from her is one of the 6-pan ones, one of the smaller palettes, the Mothership Subliminal Platinum Bronze. And I chose this one over the bigger ones because I just feel like, you know, when it's a little bit more condensed, a little bit smaller, it's easier to, you know, think of an eye look to create and really, you know, make a beautiful look with her shadows. And this color story, I think, is just a little bit unique for my taste and my collection. And I just was amazed that I was drawn to this palette because I didn't really think I would. I'm not really into cool tones too much. I've definitely started getting into them more, and I just felt like this palette has kind of that almost like grungy vibe to it. The grays, the gunmetals, the like silvery purple, and it just makes a nice smoky look without being too dramatic or too smoky and not being able to, you know, wear it during the day. And I just feel like it's a really great, not basic, but, you know, palette that you can use every day and create these stunning cooler tone looks with these shades. So that is why this one is my favorite, although I really do love like all of her palettes. Just a couple more because I wanted to make this kind of a quick video. I have almost all of the ABH palettes except for the newest one that came out and, you know, the really older ones before Modern Renaissance. Yeah, but otherwise then I've collected every single one after Modern Renaissance pretty much. And this was my favorite palette of the 2018. It's the Soft Glam palette. I just wasn't gonna get it at first, and then, you know, the collector in me was like, no, just buy it. It's, you know, neutral shades, you'll, you know, use it, of course. And it just really blew me away with how just beautiful the looks you can create with this palette. It's just, you know, it may seem boring in the overall look of it, and yeah, just looking at it, it does look boring. It looks, you know, just like browns and tans and whatever. But, you know, the eye looks you create can be casual, daytime, and it could be, you know, kind of changed up into a nighttime date night look and just make it, you know, a soft glam look. So perfect name. You know, it was really hard deciding between the Norvina palette I love. The Sultry palette is a great one that she released. I just always have a spot in my heart for the Mario palette. And I really like Silk Culture. I don't know why people had problems with that. But yeah, this one I just felt like really just took me by surprise and was a palette I was not expecting to love. And out of all the palettes, I think this one you could just use constantly if you didn't have like any eyeshadow palettes. Like this one, I think you could create so many looks with and really just diversify your eye look without needing a huge collection like I have. But yeah, that would be my favorite right now for Anastasia, unless she, you know, comes out with something new. I think she said she was going to make an Norvina too, so that will be interesting. I would love to see what that is. And the last palette I chose was Urban Decay because I love Urban Decay shadows and they have so many palettes out. But I didn't choose any of the Naked palettes. You know, I like them, but I feel like the overall eye looks you can create isn't that extensive. They all kind of end up looking the same. So the one that I chose for Urban Decay is, of course, the Born to Run palette. And these shades are just, I love it. Although one of them, no, I think it's just because I used it. It looked a little discolored, but I think it's because I ran my finger over it. But yeah, see that drift shade. I don't know, maybe it is getting discolored. But anyway, aside from that, the pops of color, the purples, the greens, the blues, and then all the neutrals up there are just a beautiful palette. I love the layout. I love the color story that they created with this. And I think they just really created a hit with this palette. I did realize I forgot one other brand I wanted to mention. Let me just grab it real quick. Too Faced. How can you forget Too Faced? 1 second. Okay, so the Too Faced palette that I chose, if I could only choose one, is the Life's a Festival palette. Not just because the packaging is adorable, but I really, really love the shades in here. They have such stunning shimmer shades, especially this one here. Artist Pass is like my all-time favorite shade there. And, you know, at first I was like, well, how many eye looks can you really create with these kind of brighter colors? And I'm not just into like pink and purpley looks, but you really, you know, maybe you might need to bring in a matte or two, a little bit darker, but you really can create a stunning eye look with these shades. And the shimmers, like I said, are just beautiful. So that is the Too Faced palette that I would choose out of all my, you know, the tin packaging ones and everything. So yes, so these were, if I could only choose one brand, one palette from one brand, these would be the ones that I would choose. You know, what would you guys choose? Do any of them coincide with what you would pick out, or is there something I'm missing or something else of a favorite that I didn't mention? So I would just love to hear your thoughts, and thank you guys so much for watching me. I'm sorry this video was kind of haphazard. I just got home from work and I'm tired and hungry, so yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys. And please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I would love to, you know, see you next time in my next video. Thank you. Bye.